Hey Tekken players, hope you're all doing well. So before I do anything else on this video, just to make this absolutely clear, the Armor King mask is a PC mod. I've done a video on how to install it. I'll leave a link below. Please stop asking me how I got this mask. There's only so many times I can answer the same question, and we're probably up to about the 8 millionth time now. So go and check it out. If you want to install it, that's how you do it. If you're on console, sorry, you can't change it to match. Anywho, right, with that out of the way, let's go on to the actual purpose of this video, which is I want to talk about what I think is one of sort of King's most swanky combo routes to go from full crouch down 4-2. I don't know if it's absolute max damage, but I think it's, in terms of swag factor, I think it's really good, and it does a good chunk more than a standard route. The only prerequisite of how to do this is you have to be able to do jab into Shining Wizard, so you've got to make sure that this is on point. Doesn't have to be blue sparks, but that's the only kind of, like, you know, if you can do that, then you can do the rest of this combo. The rest of it is easier than that part. So let's just do a very quick demo to kind of say what this combo is worth. So first of all, I'm going to land a, you know, really straightforward full crouch down 4-2 combo that, you know, you'll hopefully never ever drop in ranked, and it looks like this. Okay, really standard stuff. That gives you 72. I think with the 2 jab into Shining Wizard, it's more like 75, possibly a little bit more with the blue sparks. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's your absolute bog standard bread and butter. You'll like never drop that. And, you know, reasonable wall carry. But we can do better. So I'm going to hopefully do this first time. If not, I'll do some cunning editing so it looks like first time. But yeah, I'm going to show you the alternative of how to of a combo route. Bear in mind, the only caveat is you have to have not used your heat yet to be able to land this, and you'll see why in a second. So let me show you how you land it. Okay, so that gives you 82 with no walls whatsoever, open field, and a little bit more wall carry, although we'll talk about the, you know, wall carry options and stuff like that in the a bit later. Obviously that also means you still have your heat going, and you also finish on Shining Wizard, which is nice because you get all the usual Oki setup. So that's the that's kind of like the combo. So let's talk about how we land it and a few details in terms of other options, wall carry, etc. So the first part you'll notice is that because the full crouch down 4-2 like stun animation is so long, you have time to be able to do the manually activate heat and then, you know, cancel it and then pick up with forward 3. That is outside of the Shining Wizard ender. That's probably the hardest part to do, but it's not difficult. You just have to be really fast. And I've chosen Reina because we all know she's like this is the hardest character to land it on. Her hurt box is even more problematic than Ling's for some reason. So what sort of, you know, basically it's not rocket science. You just need to mash your heat button, like, or your bind, whatever it is you're using, as soon as possible, and then hold back to cancel. But you do have to be pretty fast. So if I even delay it slightly, you see it won't pick up. I'm sorry I messed up a few times. It's really weird to try to do something wrong on purpose. My brain can't cope. But anyway, so you do have to do it fairly fast. Now, a top tip, if you know the full crouch down 4-2 is going to land, so say you blocked a hell sweep so you can confirm it, then a really good way to make sure you land this as reliably as possible, as fast as possible, sorry, is to keep the 2 button held down and just mash 3. And then if you keep holding down 2, mashing 3, that's how you'll get the heat burst. So if you watch my command history, you see, and that will just come out as fast as possible. And you obviously need to hold back to cancel it. But yeah, just keep holding down 2 and then just go mash 3. After that, you just need to do 2 forward 3s. That's literally all it is. There's no micro dashing, nothing complicated. It's just literally 2 forward 3s into back 1-2. And that gives you your corkscrew, okay, or your tornado flip, whatever we're calling it these days. And that is sort of, that's step 1. And it's really not difficult. You just got to learn to you know, do the heat burst as soon as possible. So it looks like this. And as long as you do it as fast as possible, that forward 3 will always pick up. It's pretty reliable. Like I said, I'm deliberately doing it on the least reliable character model in the game, and it won't drop as long as you do it fast enough. So that's step 1. So after the tornado flip, you have to do a Jaguar sprint into 2, which is that. Now, the only thing to mention on this is basically do not delay the 2 whatsoever. Go straight into the Jaguar sprint and then mash 2 as fast as possible. The reason being because it's pretty tight, but to be honest, the range on this move is pretty good. So if you mash it straight away, it will still hit. You don't feel like you have to run up, then do it, because if you do, it will drop. So that's sort of the next tip. It's just literally just mash it as much as you can straight away. And then, before you do the Shining Wizard, just to make sure they're slightly further away, I think you can do a 2 jab, and for all the other options, I would suggest a 2 jab. However, if you're trying to do the Shining Wizard ender, I would always go for 1. I think it is possible, at least it certainly is on male characters, but I find it just so unreliable, and it seems like such a minute thing, but there's something about it which just means it drops way more often, so I'd always do 1. And you're only talking like an extra 2 points of damage. I just don't think it's worth it, but you practice, but I would always go for the 1. So basically, so just to recap, the end of that, after you've done the tornado flip, it's Jaguar sprint 2 straight away into 1 just to do the extra float, and then instant Shining Wizard ideally to max it out. And when you put it all together, it looks like this, hopefully. Okay, I wasn't quite it. I messed up my ender, but you get the general gist. The only other thing to say is after the it's quite a big delay after the Jaguar sprint 2 before the jab. Again, if you're just doing for the 1 jab, I don't really think you can go wrong if you just mash it. But that's that's kind of just to mention. Okay, so I'm rusty, I haven't warmed up, but you get the general gist. So as long as you got your Shining Wizards a bit more reliable than mine, then which now mine isn't. Anyway, that'll always land. So let's say, for the sake of argument, and it works quite well because I haven't warmed up and I've dropped it a few times. If you don't want to do the Shining Wizard, but you want to go for the max damage, you can do an alternative ender. It will use up the rest of your heat, but basically you can do a 2 into forward 2-1 into the heat dash and then land with a Shining Wizard, which will work because you haven't used this to spike them. So if you do that, it should look like this. And that'll give you, that's 86 without a blue sparks. It'd probably be a little bit more with blue sparks. So, and as I mentioned before, that one is quite reliable to just do the 2 jab after the Jaguar 2. So do 2 and forward 2-1, hold it for the heat dash, and then just finish on a Shining Wizard. So that uses all your heat, and you won't get the wall because obviously you're finishing on that ender. But that is how you do max damage without rage. We'll go into rage in a minute. So let's just say that you want to keep heat and you want to get a little bit of extra wall carry. You've got 2 options that I think are sort of fairly reliable. One of them is, this is the most simple, is after the Jaguar 2, just do back 1-2. And that will give a fair bit of wall carry. And if you do that, it should look like this. That sends them fairly far away. You can't do any jabs in between because the second hit of back 1-2 it doesn't have much range, so they'll whiff if you try to jab beforehand. But that's pretty good. If you want the absolute max wall carry, what you need to do is 2 jab, then forward 2, down 1-2. Looks like this. That one. That will give you the absolute max, and then this might take me 1 or 2 attempts because it's not normally an ender I do, but again, it looks like this. Like that's the absolute max carry if you go for that. Although obviously in that case it didn't reach the wall, but this is quite a big stage. If you want to go for the absolute max carry, that's the one to go for. And then finally, just to go through the absolute max damage without any wall, and this is assuming that you have rage and you don't mind spending it. Pretty straightforward, exactly the same combo, except after the Jaguar step, Jaguar run 2 jab, and then hit your rage out. And just so I can show you kind of like the sort of damage it does, that looks like this. Notice even on Reyna's teeny tiny little hurt box giggly, that lands, so it will land on everyone. And that gives you 90, and bear in mind that's the least damage because that's 90, but with the scaling involved where I've got in effect max health. If obviously you had less health, that would scale up a little bit for the rage out, so you get a bit more than 90. So that's all your kind of options covered. So you've got your standard combo, which is cool because you still get to keep heat, and you end on the Shining Wizard, which is great because it means you can do all the various kind of oaky tricks and options, which is great. If you want to go for the absolute max damage, you know, use the heat dash into Shining Wizard to kind of like, you know, to use up all your heat, but go for full damage, and then you got your other options there. So that's all. I hope that's helped you guys. Let me know if there's any kind of other stuff like this you want to see, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.